Hi, welcome to your first video from Math Plus. This one is going to cover the very first check sheet. You need to be really careful that you write everything down. I am crazy picky on these. So we're going to do a video that does the first 5 problems, and then there will be a second video for the next 4, and then a third one for the last 4. So there'll be 3 short videos. All right, here's the first one. The directions would say to simplify the square root of 125. These check sheets just have the basic math skills that you will need to be able to complete Module 1 and pass it. Now, I'm going to show this one 2 ways, depending on what teacher you had, and you would pick the one that's best for you. A lot of teachers do the tree. So you want to think of any numbers that multiply together that give you 125. Now, since it ends in a 5, I think 5, or I should say I know 5 will go into it. So I'm going to take 125 and divide it by 5 on my calculator, and I see it goes in 25 times. So 5 and 25. Well, 25 I can break up into 5 times 5. So now I look at my ends, and I have 3 5s. If you have any 2 that are the same, I like to say they get married and become 1. So I'm going to take 2 5s and write a single 5. This guy right here is a leftover 1. Any leftover 1s get inside the radical or the square root symbol. So again, if you break it up and if you have any 2 of the same, you put them together, they become 1 and they go on the outside, and any that are left over go on the inside. You can always go to your calculator and type in the original problem, which was square root of 125, which hopefully you can see on my old calculator here is 11.18. Then I also type in my simplified, which was 5 root 5, and that was also 11.18, so I'm probably in good shape. Next one I want to do is GCF and LCM. Sometimes the numbers come to you in your head and you can do it. Other times you may need your calculator. So you first look at the coefficients in the front. What's the biggest number that goes into, divides evenly into 20 and 30? If you said 10, you are correct. If you're like, lady, I struggle with figuring those out in my head, well, I'm going to let you know you can use your calculator. Math, go over to num. The 9th one down is GCD, which is another way of saying GCF. And I'll put the 2 numbers in with a comma between them. And when I do that, I get 10. Now, GCF means it's something you can take out or divide out of both. So when you look at your exponents on your variables, you choose the fewest, because that way you could take it out of both. This has an x cubed. This has an x to the first power. So x is the fewer one, or smaller. Y squared and y. Y is the fewer, not y squared. Z, or z to the 7th, z is smaller. So for GCF, I like to think fewer on exponents. LCM is the reverse of that. You want to think with the numbers in front, what's the first number that 20 and 30 both go into? So that usually means the number would have to be the same as the larger one or bigger. So I know that 20 and 30, the first number that they both go into is 60. But if you didn't know that, that's okay. Go to your calculator, math, num, the 8th one down is LCM, 20, 30. And it comes out to 60. And LCM, the most, because you need these to go into it, so I choose the most on the exponents. X cubed or x cubed is the most. Y squared or y squared is the most. Z, or z to the 7th, z to the 7th is the most. Moving to number 3. If you are told to simplify, this guy right here, number 3, and there is a plus sign in the middle, they really don't even need these parentheses. You can go right away if there's a plus sign and combine like terms. 4x squared and 7x squared are like terms because they both have an x raised to the same power. So 4x squareds plus 7x squareds are 11x squareds. Next one, 6x, 10x, together are 16x. And then the last one, the 4 and the 10, if I add them together, I get 14. So again, number 3, what they tell you to simplify is just combine like terms. Number 4 is simplify again, but there is not a plus sign in the middle. Let's zoom in here. If I look at number 4, there is a minus sign in the middle. When that is the case, I need to distribute that minus sign. Some teachers might have said you're distributing a -1. That was good. I like to say whatever is in parentheses changes signs, because that's what multiplying by a -1 does. So if they're all positive to start, I'm going to make them all negative. And I'm dropping my parentheses as soon as I distribute that -1. And I bring down the first polynomial, fancy word for that stuff that's inside the parentheses. Now I combine like terms. 4x squareds minus 7x squareds is -3x squareds. 6x minus 10x is -4x. And 4 minus 10 is -6, making this, the circled answer there, the simplified version. Number 5, find the product. Product means multiplying. We know this is multiplication because there's no plus or minus sign between them. Your teacher might have said distribute. Your teacher might have said make a box. I find that most students are most successful with a box. There are 3 things in this one and 2 in this one. Trinomial by binomial, fancy words there, which means I need to make it 3 by 2. And x squared I'll put up here, 3x next to it, and the 5. And x and a 4 go on the sides. We multiply to put things in the box. So if you did x times x squared, you'd get x cubed. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times 5 is 5x. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times 3x is 12x. And 4 times 5 is 20. Many times, I can't say all the time, but many times diagonals will be like terms, which means you can add them or combine them together. This is my only x cubed, or x to the 3rd power. I'm writing that first. 4x squared plus 3x squared is 7x squared. When you're adding, do not change the exponents. 12x plus 5x is 17x's. And then this is your plain constant on the end. And there are your answers for 1 through 5.